Comrades, welcome back to Kerbal Space Program. I am the long-absent Admiral Andre, but I have never disappeared, comrades, as I've always said. Here I am again. Today we are finally going to continue with the Mir space station. We have one major module that still needs to be added, the Pre-Roda module. Of course, we still have to add the truss segment as well. That's probably going to be the final touch, although there is the possibility of adding one more thing after that, which I will discuss with you in a moment. As you can see here, this is a lovely sunset in the late afternoon, of course, at our space center. And we can see we still have all of our beloved mods here. The mod list hasn't really changed. I have just added the life support, the TAC life support mod. But the thing is, this is something also that bothers me. I think in the future we're going to run into more and more of these problems. Almost all of these mods are now out of date, and I can't see any newer versions for them. They are all working fine still, but eventually the game is going to change to such an extent that all our beloved mods won't be working anymore. And yes, as time goes on, more and more of them are falling by the wayside. Almost one of the latest casualties was Kopernicus, but fortunately the creator of that mod has just recently updated it. And of course, without that, we can't use any of the visual mods, so including the long-dead KETO mod, which I'm still using. So yes, at least it's back now, so I also have the stock visual enhancements back here as well. And yes, basically that's it. Toolbar. There's this toolbar controller. I needed this for the Slingshotter mod. I just wanted to see what that was all about. Apparently you can plan the position of the various planets and so on, but that's something I still have to learn, and we can have a look at that at a later point. So for now, comrades, let's go to space. Let's have a look at Mir. Actually, there's something else in the tracking station. Let's have a look at that. Aha, comrades, here we are. And what do you see, or rather, what do you not see? All of the various megasat probes that were here previously are now gone. And I don't just mean they are debris now, they are gone. I decided if we're going to keep this safe for a long time, which makes sense because we're going to all of the trouble of building the Mir space station, and obviously we are going to build on that even further as we create future construction projects. I thought, no, let's get rid of these megasats. They serve no real purpose. We proved the point that we could put 180 of them into orbit at the same time. So I just deleted them here from the tracking station, all except one. Now let's just see, where is that one now? Good grief, there's so much debris here. Anyway, there's the one megasat probe that I decided to keep as a token of what we achieved there. Now, some of the stuff, I can't even remember what this is. Discovery probe, I think that's something I put up there. A fuel tanker, I don't know. We'll have to have a look at all of these things, but I want to dedicate this save for our YouTube constructions. So anyway, let's go to Mir, comrades. It's been there now for 2 years, 334 days and 1 hour. In other words, it's still a baby. Ah yes, here we are, comrades. How serene. Wonderful. I've missed this. I really have been thinking a lot about KSP, especially all the times that I haven't had the opportunity to play it. I'm sure you can sympathize. Anyway, so this is it, comrades. We're getting yellow here again, so that means obviously it's there's a little bit of a draw on the graphics here, so it's not as smooth as it should be, but I have to say this is actually very smooth. I don't know if this is related to the new Kopernicus mod or something like that, because we still have Planetshine and all of the other things here, as well as Slingshotter, but of course that's not a graphical thing. So yes, it should have the same performance, but it's actually better. Well, that's not a bad thing. But anyway, comrades, you'll notice here that the station is in a higher orbit now, 140 kilometers. I brought a progress capsule up here to just have supplies here in case we bring crew up, because with the TAC life support mod, of course it's fatal if we don't have supplies here. And then I just used that to raise our orbit slightly. Now the reason for that is very simple, and that was before I updated the graphics mods and all of that. It was just the stock game again, as you saw with the last video with the mission that I made. And of course, if you're in low Kerbal orbit and it's stock graphics, then we get this horrible glitching along the coastlines. I'm sure you're very well familiar with that. And I just thought, this is too horrible. We went to all this work to build the station. I don't want to see this coastal glitching every time we come to visit it. So I just raised our orbit, and of course then you don't see it anymore. But now with the mod again, that doesn't happen, so I can probably lower our orbit, but I think for now we'll just keep it at 140. And of course, as long as you do it very gently and very slowly, it's not a problem. And it doesn't even use that much fuel. So yes, the one module that we still have to add goes of course right here, and that is Pre-Roda. So let's have a look at what this entails. So actually no, I made a mistake here. Or did I? No, I didn't. I was just getting now confused with all the various modules, but this is the core. So obviously we'll dock here, and then that is indeed the Pre-Roda docking module there, or docking attachment point. Now, the only other thing I still thought that we could add after the truss segment there is another possible docking attachment mechanism here for the Buran that we will eventually build. Now that can probably look the same as the one that we brought up with the shuttle previously, or we can make it look slightly different. In fact, I think I'm going to make it look slightly different, but it's the same idea. It's just an attachment point for the Buran eventually, so that it doesn't have to attach directly there at the port. So obviously that's not going to work for docking and all of that. So yes, that's the other thing, and then the station is finished, comrades, and then the stars are the limit, as they say. Of course, then we'll start building the Buran and the Energia booster, which will be another excellent asset for our space program, because it's another very powerful lifter, and we'll need it for going to Duna and all of those things. So with this whole save, I think obviously on the one hand we will have the various projects that we do, like the Apollo moon landing and the Mir station and the Buran and all of that. But on the other hand, we'll also have some, open-ended missions that we can go on. So that's not really a repeat of anything historic. And then, of course, on the other hand, the third aspect is the whole historical recreations. And I thought instead of making a continuation of that series, I would rather like to continue making missions of that, and then eventually we can record those missions, and that's another series then. So I'll take you to the workshop in a moment, comrades. I have a few missions up there that I uploaded a few weeks ago. I think I got to Luna 3 if I'm not mistaken. I'll have to check. But anyway, so you're of course welcome to try those. Now also, of course, we can upload the various craft directly to Steam while we're in the game. So I think I'm going to start doing that for the various components of the Mir station here, in case you are interested in building this thing as well. But first, of course, we need to know what we're building. So let's go to our friend Google and see what it can teach us. Ah, yes, comrades, here we are in the workshop, me and my one follower. Oh well, that doesn't matter. I've uploaded the Soyuz that we built before, as well as the Apollo and Saturn V. I tried doing that mission again on my own, but I'm still having trouble docking the Apollo CSM to the lander in low Kerbal orbit. That's something we're going to have to look at again in the future, but if you are also having trouble with that, of course, you'll remember in our moon landing video I had the same problem. It's possible to just manually put some reaction wheel, I keep saying reaction wheel, but the torque, you can always turn that up on the capsule and then just help that use that to help you turn around instead of the RCS system, if that's a bit easier. I also uploaded the space shuttle here, but you'll see none of these pictures look particularly nice. That's the one thing I don't like about this whole system of uploading craft to Steam here. But the pictures, of course, don't really show what the thing is going to look like, because it doesn't show the fairings there. The same problem here. But anyway, so don't pay attention to that, comrades. You'll just find this here. Of course, there's many other craft I still have to upload here, which I will do bit by bit. But in terms of the missions, of course, we have Sputnik 1. So I think the last time I did the video about that, I said I was going to do a Soviet sort of mission pack, but instead I thought, why not do the whole space race? Of course, that's going to take another ice age to complete, given the rate that I'm going. But we have Sputnik 1, then of course Sputnik 2, then we have Explorer 1, we have Luna 1 and 2. I put those together in one mission. Explorer 6. So again, we're just doing the highlights, the milestones of the space race. We're not doing every single mission. Then Luna 3, a trip to the far side, and I think in that one we also visit Minmus. So that's the only ones that I've got so far, but at least that's something maybe to enjoy if you're interested there. Let's just see, what's the other things I've got here? It's of course the N1L3 mission as well. And this was a map that I made for Transport Fever. I actually did a video on that as well. And that's all I have in my workshop. So there we go. But you can just look for these things, comrades. I'm not Admiral Andre on Steam. I'm just known as Gia here. That was my old name. So if you are looking for these things. But anyway, that aside, let's get to Pre-Roda. So let's first go to our friend here, Wikipedia, and just have a look. Of course, your lecturers will always tell you do not rely on Wikipedia, but actually Wikipedia is a good source that leads you to other sources. So that's one thing. Anyway, this is Pre-Roda, the Earth sensing module. That's why it has this big dish on the side, a synthetic aperture radar dish, which we can actually recreate very well with the resource scanner. That's actually a very nice thing. So this was the last module, of course, 1996. Where was I then? Good grief. So there we have the seventh and final Mir module. Pre-Roda's primary purpose was to conduct Earth resource experiments through remote sensing and to develop and verify remote sensing methods. The module's experiments were provided by 12 different nations. So you see, as the Mir program expanded beyond the fall of the Soviet Union, it actually broadened as well and covered microwave, visible, near-infrared and infrared spectral regions using both passive and active sounding methods. The module possessed both pressurized and unpressurized segments, pretty much like the other ones as well. And of course, the one exception was it had the big radar dish and no solar panels. Very interesting. This is the only one so far that doesn't have solar panels. Even, of course, the Kvant 1 later had solar panels. So that's another thing. Now let's have a look. This is the specific article for that now. Let's just open this. The good thing about all of the Mir modules is they all have the same base design. So these side panels, the tanks that we use there on the other sides, all of that will be the same, including the engines and all of that. We'll just have to work on the end here. That looks a bit different. It's basically a flat round end with this raised ridge in the middle and then various instruments on either side of that. And then, of course, we have various instruments on the outside of the module there. Then the dish. Now, where does that sit here? It's not quite in the middle. It's a bit further out than the middle. LiDAR. Okay, that's, I would say, about the middle. So, not quite 2/3, but, oh well, we'll see what we can do with that. That's the Traverse antenna there. Let's look at some images. That's always a helpful thing. Here we can see the same thing. Here it looks like it's even further out. And actually these simplified images I always found useful because at least that helps us to get the outline here. Yes, that's basically the last quarter or less of the module that this thing gets attached to. Then we have this raised ridge in the middle. That's in line with the dish, and then the instruments on either side. Various things. There's two basically antennas there on the opposite side of the dish. What else can we see here? I just want to see also the mounting orientation here. So it looks, according to this, that the radar dish is pointing towards the which one is this? The crystal? No, the Spectre, the power module there. Interesting. So all the solar panels would be in the way there, but I guess they'll just retract them if they want to use the antenna. Okay, so that tells us that. Now what else? What else do we need to see here? Oh, that's way too small. Let's go back to Wikipedia for this. Okay, so again, this is too much detail again that I can't recreate. But still, at least it's a useful thing here. Now, where's the dish on this image? Nowhere. Well, there's the Traverse aerial device. Oh, and there's the two antennas on the opposite side. So on the same side as the antenna, we have these small spheres here, small tanks, helium tanks. Now, I guess that's 3 on each side, so 6 of them there. Attitude control, obviously we'll leave all of that as it is. It's been working very well for us. I just want to see. Also, the other thing with the TAC life support, I'm not going to put any life support modules in this. Obviously, if you're playing stock and you want to use the various modules yourself, then that's a complication. But also the other thing is, as I've learned now, we can never become too dependent on the mods, because you never know when there's a new update and all the mods get broken and all of that. And then, of course, if we have missing parts on the station will just get deleted. So I'll never ever risk that. So all of the TAC life support tanks and things are always going to be in the what's the thing called now? Good grief. The progress, always going to be in the progress. I had to think there for a minute. It's too much. It's been too long, comrades. I have to do this more regularly. So there's the dish again. We'll obviously just use what we have in that regard. It's attached sort of at an angle, but I'm not going to make that complication for us. It's just going to be, of course, there we have Kerbal again. Other people have thought of the same thing. I'll reproduce that. That's the thing that I was thinking of, the dish there. I'll just put it straight onto the side. I'm not going to turn it at an angle. There's KSP again. And there's KSP again, is it? Surely, yes, must be. Yeah, oh yes, you can recognize the planet there. Those are mod parts. There's KSP again, there's KSP again, there's KSP again, there's KSP again. So that's my rule. So that's the Admiral Andre law, comrades, unless somebody has already patented that name. So the Admiral law states, if there's something to do with space, someone will already have brought KSP into the mix. There it is again. You can search anything, I'm sure you'll find KSP somewhere in the images. But of course that's not a bad thing, and I'm contributing to that. But anyway, so I'm going to use this as the base thing. We can see here the antenna or the dish is not sort of skew there. It's basically flat on. I'm sure it could move basically as they wanted to use that, but of course we won't have that level of detail. Yes, I'm not sure. I'll just throw some things onto the outside, some more experiments, because again I can't recreate that level of detail there. But just to get the end there right, and of course the dish. So comrades, that's it. Let's get into the game. Right, comrades, welcome back to the vehicle assembly building, and this is the crystal. It doesn't matter, of course, which one we open up here, just so as long as we have something to work with. Now, it's interesting, I never noticed the RCS port is actually clipping there outside of the fairings. That's interesting. And so is the engine there as well. Good grief. Is that supposed to happen? Let's open up something else and just have a look. Let's just have a look. Is that just something I didn't notice before? Let's take Fund 2 here. So this one doesn't clip, but this one also has the engines the opposite way. Interesting. Oh well. Let's go back to the other one. It's a more recent design. Okay, we're back with the crystal again, comrades. I think we'll just extend the fairings here. It's because I always use the same standard fairings. I'll just say edit and, well, I could have just said delete because we have to do the whole thing over anyway. Just need to go a little wider than before and then close it up like that. Now, I'm not happy with the way that it bulges there on the bottom, but that's unfortunately just a consequence of making such a sharp angle there on the bottom. Anyway, so this is Crystal, comrades. I'm going to upload this right to the Steam Workshop, so let's do that now since we are here. Let me just save this again. Nothing else has changed here. So export to Steam, and then you can also see how you do this. I'm going to put this as a station because obviously it's part of a station, and I'll just say set visibility on Steam Workshop to public. So that's it. There's nothing else I have to do, and there's no required mods here. Of course, you're welcome to add some if you like. Now, maybe I should rename this, otherwise most people won't know what it's about. I'll just say like that, mere crystal, just so that people are clear what this is about. So let's do this again. Station and set visibility and OK. And that's that. Of course it's going to look horrible again because it's going to mangle all of the fairings in the image, but don't worry, they will be there. So yes, there it is. Mere crystal. You see it's looking all crazy there, but anyway, so there it is, comrades. You are welcome to get this one. It's actually a very small file size, but I will upload all the other ones before this video goes public, and that's that. So let's begin working on this. I'm gonna keep the proton exactly the same. Obviously we're not gonna mess with a good thing, and everything else here is gonna remain exactly the same, except this one is not going to have the docking thing on the end here. Now I have to think, why do we have a docking thing on the end here again? Oh, obviously it's because of the various shuttle docking bays. Of course I have to remind myself what all the parts are for. Do we need all this stuff? I don't think we're going to need the convertitron. We don't need the solar panels. We don't need the ore tanks. Although, of course, we never really needed that. I'll leave this because we saw there was this situation with the tanks. Actually, we can add another one or another set here. I'll also, well, no, let's leave them spaced out like this. Now, where's the other one? Do I have to do this individually? I guess so. Actually, no, let's bring them closer together. It's also useful if you need more monopropellant. And just bring that there. There we go. So we have those 6 tanks there. And then, of course, we get rid of our make-believe telescope here. Just dump all of that, and now of course we're going to put the antenna thing on. I just want to remove this one. Of course we also saw there's 2 small antennas on this side. Actually I'm going to take this off. These are too big. Okay, let me just go back to that image and just see again. Okay, now of course finding the image is going to be a problem. Okay, it's actually on the same side as the antenna. That's right, that's right, that's right. And then opposite side is where we have those antennas there. So now which way are we going to go here? Let's take that off as well. Doesn't matter, I suppose. Is it science? Yes, the M700 survey scanner. This is just the thing. So now the question is, where do we put it? It's not going to be halfway, that's or towards the middle. It has to be, I would say, right there, which is that simplified image that we saw. Again, just so there's enough clearance here as well. I think that looks quite nice. It should definitely stick out of the top there. Also, the other thing, If I just find an image where the thing is deployed now. Oh yes, we're also going to have to remove this narrowing here. Now this is going to cause a problem because the RCS ports are attached here. That's an issue now. Well, we're just going to have to get around it. Of course, I would like to keep the thing angled upwards. Because we need that for braking maneuvers. A bit more, I think. Let's just get rid of this thing here. Go on. And then a plate. No, that's way too big. No, wrong things. Good grief. Getting rusty here. That's not staged. And then this goes up right towards the edge. Like that. And then I'm just going to move it out. Again, in this case, we have to be led by practicality. Just so that we can actually maneuver this thing. Alright, so we have the set on the bottom, and of course the center of mass is at least in between those. Not perfectly, of course, it's way too much on this side. Did we change the strength of any of this? No. Oh well, it's fine, it worked so far. Now, we need this middle section here. We could probably get away with structural panels. What else could we use that's square? I almost never use this micronode, but that's not going to work here. Although, no, that doesn't quite create the shape. Maybe. Although I know this is very blocky, it's not supposed to look like that. But this ridge is supposed to be thicker than just the one width of the panel. Should we leave it like that? I wonder, how many panels would we need? We could always cover this in panels, but I don't think that's going to work. Let's just try panels. Of course, here I'm going to have to guess where the middle is. And then I'll have to sink the thing in as well. Yes, I think the panels will work better. Now, let's just get this thing right in the middle here. My real worry here is that I still have my touch when it comes to the actual launch and the docking. That I'm not rusty there, which I am. Good grief. Now see, this thing is a little bit too wide. It sticks out a tiny amount on the sides. Of course, the obvious answer is to move this in a little, but not so much that it clips there. There we go. So now what do we need on this side? Because we don't really need any specific instruments or anything like that anymore. I think we have them all already. So there's of course all the life support components, which I will not put on here, and also not any of the cameras. What was I thinking of? Science. Let's put one of these fluid spectrovariometer things up here. Just want to see again the image. I actually need a photograph here. Although the photograph has so many details there, it's difficult to say what I should recreate. Although in the diagram it looks like this thing is standing up. Almost like that. And then maybe some of the small experiments. Just a few, so it adds a little bit of texture here. Actually something a bit bigger. Maybe the equipment storage module? This thing is actually very useful in a career. Very, very useful. Now, of course, we don't want it sticking out there. Maybe like that. Although this thing looks a bit different now again. Maybe we should use this somewhere else. We can really throw it anywhere. I mean, this is obviously way too plain for the actual module. Let's put it on there. We'll say it has something to do with the remote sensing. What does it say there? Caution may contain science. I think that's really appropriate. But, of course, I offset the thing wrong now. F, that's the thing. There we go. It's a bit of texture there. The other thing on the top here, it's almost like a small experiment like this that has struts going to it. Again, that's now a very great oversimplification in the diagram, but still. No, there was a bit of a delay there. Whatever the function of this thing is, we can come up with a story, I'm sure. That's not quite right. That's not quite right. Better. But again, not quite right. Let's move it. I think you can actually move a strut. Yes, that's better. Anyway. Now the tanks, can we actually put small tanks underneath this? That's the other question. Just very small ones. Yes, I think there shouldn't be a problem with that. And this will actually be a very interesting experiment, comrades, because we haven't done the scanning of the planet yet, and by doing that we could possibly even have some kind of fuel mining going on Kerbin itself. And then we can fly the fuel to the space center and then possibly use some kind of docking port attachment to transfer it to various vehicles. But I don't know, that's maybe unnecessarily complicated. Although we could do something like that on Minmus, I think that would be nice. But yes, we can come up with a story there. Now, that's enough clearance, so I think that's okay. Although we can move this in a little. So we could eventually have a save that has a whole infrastructure, because I still want to create the whole space transportation system that the shuttle was supposed to be part of. And then that includes like a nuclear tug that takes things to the moon, and obviously Minmus, and some kind of station network, and of course the fuel mining, so that we can pretend that we are less dependent on funding on Kerbin, so we always produce most of our own fuel for interplanetary missions and all of that. Now we have two antennas on this side. Is it about there? Yes, it's just actually underneath where the... No! Okay, thank goodness we could recover from that, because sometimes you can't. Just there. Just want to make them point different ways. But still at least look like they're part of the same thing. Actually move them in. That's good enough there. Still two independent antennas. Now, what else do we need? Only 219 meters per second on this thing. Oh, I hope we can do it. Now, getting a fairing on this thing is going to be nigh impossible because it sticks out so much here. So, obviously, that's going to be a very unusual thing. Can we just add some more details onto this module? We don't really have to. These ridges on the tanks actually help a lot, but still. We could even add some fuel here just for the sake of maneuvering, but let's try without doing that. Let's put a xenon container there. What else could we add? Do we have any of the science juniors anywhere? That's another thing. I'm sure we must have. Otherwise we could kind of clip one in here or something. Maybe that's something we could do. For whatever reason, I'm not sure there is really a reason to do that. That wouldn't look too nice though. Is it possible to do that on the side here? No, let's not do that. Let me just take a break here, comrades. I'll be back with you in a moment. Real life is calling. Right, comrades, I'm back again. Of course, to you only a second will have passed. Now, let's see, what do we need to do? We need to add some more things here. We only have so much that we can add, though. Let's add an accelerometer. Actually, we can add a couple here, just for the effect. Then, what else? What else? I like the fact that it's a lab here, a mobile processing lab. Of course, some of the other modules are slightly different, but again, since this is a very sciencey module, I think that's actually a good base to use here. Others are, of course, the hitchhiker container. But, yes, let's see, what else could we do? I'm wondering, though. Let's just open up something else and merge it here, just so we can have a look. Now, what were the other parts? That's the thing now. Crystal, of course, we know. Quant. There's the Megasat. Progress, Proton, Reliant. All the various RSAs. Spectre. There's Spectre. Let's merge that. I just want to see what Spectre looks like. So you can clearly see there it's actually two of the hitchhiker containers. So actually it's fine, doesn't matter. Just as long as the scale is roughly correct. So that's all that matters. I think this one is actually pretty good. We just have a look again at the thing. I want to see a photograph here. Yes, we definitely have the panels again on the bottom. That rounded tank thing. Then of course, actually it doesn't look like it gets narrower towards the top though. What about the diagrams? Actually it does, it looks like a big cone shape. Okay, here's a photograph. No, it's definitely narrower, that's fine. So I think we can leave it at that. Although, actually no, hold on now. But now I don't want to mess up the whole thing. Let me just see the diagrams again of all the various parts. Okay, so we've got that. Crystal gets a lot narrower to the front. That's why we're obviously building on Crystal right now. Pre-Roda does not get narrower really. Obviously those side panels are wider, but it's more like Quant 2. But it's also shorter than that. Although Quant 2 has this pointy thing on the end though. Okay, let's have a look. Let's just think about this for a second, because that means we can still keep the mobile processing lab, but then we need to widen this whole thing on the top here to basically a 2.5 meter diameter. Well, we can of course do that. I just want to see what it looks like now. I don't want to make too much of a mess of it here. Of course, getting the colors to match is another problem. We could do something like that that's empty, of course. Then we also have the flat end on the top there. But now it's a bit longer. That doesn't look good. No, I don't like that. No, 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 no. We could, of course, just use a hitchhiker container. And that sort of can be the LiDAR or whatever it was that we saw before. Now, of course, we still need to find a place to put the antenna on. Now, that is definitely going to be... Just see here. Where is the antenna versus the engine? So it's on the same side as the engines, it looks like. It's a pity this image or this photograph is not bigger. I do believe it's on the side of the engines though. Let me just see again. Oh, it's so difficult to see. That's the thing. I wish I could see a bit clearer here. None of these diagrams show the engines. Well, I assume the thing is then on the side of the engines. Let's go with that. However, that now means we're going to have to change this unless I put the antenna directly on the window there. Not sure what the merits of that are. Just move this out of the way. Now it seems to me this whole thing is a bit too short now. Actually, it could be fine. Yes, I think it would work out better like this, comrades. Of course, now we still have to do the various detail work here, but this does have a better overall shape. It doesn't get narrower really. So then, of course, on the top we're just going to add now the second level of engine plate. No staging there, and of course I'll just have to recreate the things that we had already. Okay, let's steal that. Then just move this out a little. Okay, and then of course the various plates. Now, in that sense, I could probably just steal the plates that we had here. And of course just widen them. Yes, I think that would be easiest, although of course the problem is now if I do add more, it's going to be too wide. Well, that's the thing now. How can we solve that problem? What about one giant one? Maybe that will be better actually. Just put this aside. We've got so many parts floating around now. Of course, the thing here is now it's going to have to move in a lot. And I can't hide it then. No, that's the other option. Of course, again, that's too short. Now, how do we solve this problem? That's the thing. I could use some of these triangular pieces, but it doesn't have this side angle there. Well, I can solve it by just not attaching it to that. That makes sense. Alright, let's just drop this thing again and make sure it's aligned properly. Okay, and then we'll use the same parts, but instead of snapping them on the end, we are just going to place them there and of course there on the other side. And then we will move them around. That makes sense. At least that should also avoid the clipping, I'm hoping. Because it's not perfectly matching it. See, it's just misaligned there, but it's almost as if it's the same structure. Now it's sticking out there a little. Well, more texturing, I guess. We could also put the RCS ports there. Maybe we can do that, so they also don't stick out so far. Yes, that works. That covers it up anyway. Now, what do we need? I think we're going to have to get a few more details. Now, we obviously had the equipment storage here. Let's just throw that on somewhere on the side there. Again, that extra texturing there. Now, the various tanks, that's now our other problem. We've got these two tanks here. Now, I think if we can just get this thing to pack away again, we could probably put a few just underneath there, but I'm not sure if it's really necessary. Let me go back to the image and just see how far it is. Yes, it is actually down there. Well, we'll just put it like this, around that window. Although I think you only see one window, I'm not sure. No, just one side. The Admiral Andre interpretation of Pre-Roda. Right, so that's at least that from the side. It looks like the part. What else were we throwing on this thing? Of course, the xenon container. Oh yes, this thing must not be staged. I'm wondering if less is more is not a better approach, because we already have all of the various experiments. The flag we'll leave like that. That's obviously the de facto Soviet flag in our case. Yes, I think so. The antenna is anyway the main feature of it, and if we extend that, that really looks nice. I like that. So there we are, comrades. I think let's not overcomplicate the thing. I'm going to throw this away. We don't need that anymore. We'll just see if there might be one or two few final touches. Maybe we can like hide a tank up here just to add a little extra texture to this part. Otherwise, what's it for? Just empty it. Like that. And I'm not sure what else could we add. We already have ore tanks on one of them. Cylindrified monopropellant tanks. It's way too big here. It's gonna be too domineering there. Maybe a fuel cell. That could be something. We'll put it up here. And of course I'll just move it in a little, just so that base is hidden there. Comrades, I think that's the thing, that's the ticket. If I just go back to the actual photograph of Pre-Roda, they do have like a little round antenna on the side, I see, which we didn't actually see in any of the diagrams. What is that? MW Panorama Radiometer RP225. There's actually two parts to that. Alright, let's put a little dish antenna on here. Although that's a bit of a massive one. So that is on the right side of the big dish. So actually just where the flag is. So I guess we'll toggle the flag off. Place this so that it is pointing upwards and then move it in there. More experiments. Yes, I think that's a good thing for an Earth observation module. Any last touches? Weird triangular shape things. Vis, NIR, spectrometer, MOS, OBS, CR, inside, spectrometers and all sorts of things. Could have possibly been a nice thing to add the Sentinel thing here, but I'm not sure where on Earth we could fit that in. Or where on Kerbin we could fit that in. Although I'm sure we could. Let's move this. What am I grabbing? Move this thing up there somewhere. Now, how much weight does that add? Only 100 kilos. Not anything to worry about. We'll snap it onto that. Actually, we'll snap it onto this thing right here, if I can. Okay, I'll play around with the rotations there. Then, of course, we just move it around. It plays the part, I think. Again, it has no practical value for us, but it's another Earth observation part, at least, we pretend. Yes, the cleanest will be just to have that stick out there. Okay, that's it. No more, no more. Otherwise I'll keep adding stuff until this thing is double the weight. So I'll call this mere Pre-Roda. Now obviously I'm sure we could do this a million better ways, but I think this is a nice finishing touch for our station. Although I don't like this round thing on the top. I think we should get rid of that. That looks a lot better. So save again. Now let's put the actual booster on, but now how on earth is that gonna work? Hopefully it's not gonna, we could just get away with keeping it like this and it's not gonna break off when it separates. Let's take a chance, comrades. I'm not gonna upload this to the Steam workshop because we don't know if it's actually gonna work yet. And yes, I think that's it. Let's try this thing. Let's try it. Obviously we're gonna launch again from the Boomerang site where we did all the previous launches. And I will see you there, comrades. Right, here we are. And that does look a bit bizarre, but I can't do anything to that survey module there. Well, that's very nice, and we can clearly see the dish up there as well. Good grief. Oh well. Let's see, where is the station at the moment? Oh, just want to turn the debris off there. Now we're up there, Mir is here, so we'll say set as target. That means we will have a launch relatively soon, I think. And maybe a little bit more. Okay, I think we can go now. And of course then here I have the guide again. Now, yeah, so we should be going that way. It's actually a bit northeast there. Anyway, I'm going to have to track this thing and make sure that it's more or less aligned. So what I'm going to do here, oh, that looks stunning with the moon peeking there over the mountain. Let me take a nice F1 on that. Yes, I love the stock visual terrain enhancements. Again, obviously you can play without them, but I just think it's such a great addition. Squad, please add stuff like this as stock. Then at least we don't have to worry about the mods not being updated. Anyway, comrades, I'm going to do the countdown as usual, and we'll hope this thing takes off. We are pushing the limits, of course, of the Proton here, as we saw previously. And I'll see you in space. Ah, comrades, such a nice launch, and then when the fairing separated, the antenna broke off there. So we're not going to have any fairings here, unless I could possibly get them around the thing. No, you see, it can't possibly go wider than that, so we're not going to do that. Hopefully it will be fine. I know we've got a bit of a flat shape on the front there, but overall I think it will be alright, at least I hope so. Let's try again, comrades. Maybe we'll save a bit of weight anyway, so maybe there's a positive to that. So let's just lock target again as Mir there, and then of course just wait till we are lined up. So disappointing to see the thing blow up there, but anyway. So, of course, same story again, comrades. 5. Nope, flipping is a real problem, comrades. But let's try again. Set as target, and I'm just going to F5 before launch, so I don't have to wait again. Okay. F5, everything is stable here. There's the moon, so we're in the right place, and just go this time. Just go. Alright, comrades, don't judge. The thing keeps flipping over, so I have to do something in line with the nose cone. So I'm just attaching the 3 to 2, the 2 to 3 there, Kerbal adapter, and then of course the nose cone on the top there. I'm attaching it to the engine plate that we put on the top of the module. I just have to make the thing staged, or at least I can't do it here, so I'll just have to do it manually. Now let's hope this works, comrades. Of course that's more weight, but hopefully. Let's just set as target and see what happens. Right, so there is our rocket of ill repute, but hopefully it will do its function here. So let's try again, comrades. F5 this, full power, and go. Comrades, that was a truly legendarily terrible launch there. Despite having the full wheel authority here and the various reaction thrusters, we still kept flipping over there at the end, but luckily we managed to correct it there. Of course now the upper stage is done and we're not even in an orbit yet. And on top of that I almost burnt all of the monopropellant. We have only 9.9 units left. So it's very dubious whether we're going to make it now. But we'll try. I mean, we're here now anyway. So at this point we're just going to dump this thing now. The problem is I'm not sure if this thing has reaction wheels. I think it does. I can't remember now. Where are we controlling this thing from again? I think it's somewhere in the base here. Where's the core? There must be a probe core here somewhere, surely. Or did we now get rid of that as well? Well, I guess there's only one way to find out. Oh, good grief. Tell me there's a probe core in here somewhere. Well, it's still green, so I guess there is. And we do have some small level of control, so that's alright. Can't remember what kind of probe core it was that we used. Must be one of the very small octos. Anyway, doesn't matter. We are okay. Now, of course, we're going to have the offset mass and all of that to deal with, but right now our main concern is just getting into an orbit. So we have 25 seconds of fuel left, and I'm not sure. We'll just keep trying here, otherwise I might have to throw together a custom rocket for this thing. But let's see if we can keep with the theme. Alright, that'll do. Let's just wait till we point the right way. Now, of course, power is the other thing, because we don't have any actual solar power here. Although, do we not still have the... Okay, we still have the fuel cell, but of course we need the fuel. So, there we are. Burn. Oh, no, it's gonna flip over the whole time. Okay, comrades, it's gonna have to be back to the drawing board. That means I'll probably complete this recording tomorrow. I really have to sit and think about this thing. We're gonna have to make changes to the booster and to the module here. I'll just have to put some extra reaction power in here, as well as more fuel. Although, if we can just use a little bit of thrust. Oh, it's barely able to keep the thing steady. It's definitely because of that antenna. What happens if I deploy it now? Will it flatten out the mass there? Maybe. Looks like it does. It's closer to the body there. Well, that seems to work. Yes, okay, that makes a difference somewhat. Not really. Get back to the center, please. I'm not going to use monopropellant for this. We'll need every drop for the docking. 96 meters per second left. Good grief. This will be the absolute thinnest margin we've ever had. If we even make it, by the way. $60 now. I think this is a waste. 60 meters. And it can't keep steady. No, comrades, back to the drawing board. I will see you in just a moment from your perspective, and then we're going to do this thing right. Even if it means we have to use an upgraded proton. So let's do it. Revert. Comrades, welcome again. It's day 2 now. We're going to continue. I've just loaded up the mere Pre-Roda here. I was also looking back at the images again just now on Google Images, just to make sure that I'm happy with the way that Pre-Roda keeps the same diameter throughout. And there's one specific image, I'm going to go back to it right now. It's one of those on Wikipedia, where you can clearly see it's the side-on view. That's where we saw the 3 tanks on the bottom. So it's that image. You can very clearly see where the engines are. It obviously comes into its main diameter, and then from there it keeps the whole diameter all the way through. So if I can use our craft here, it's from there where the engine comes in right there, then it keeps the same diameter all the way through. So obviously the only exceptions are the panels here and the tank structure things that poke out of the sides. So I'm happy with this, I have to say. It's just I have to make sure, because it's a bit different when compared to our other modules. Now, the other thing was this nose cone, as unconventional as it is, and as unrealistic as it is actually, I think, the thing that makes the difference. Just because, if I just retract the scanner there, obviously this thing does have a physical presence in the game, so that's why the fairings actually clashed with it as soon as I tried to deploy them. Now, of course, that adds a great deal of drag on the side, and even the weight that's hanging off here is not the best thing. So having some kind of nose cone does slightly help with that, but it's mainly for this flat area here that's obviously giving us a huge amount of drag as well. So we're going to have to live with this part, comrades. I can't put a fairing all the way through here. I think this is perfectly doable, as long as we have more go, basically. So I think the first thing to do here is to enhance our first stage, because the problem with the whole drag and everything means that by the time we get into orbit, we, as you can clearly see now just a few moments ago, we don't have any fuel left to actually maneuver the module. So I think the easiest way is to just add some more boosters, and the one I want to use is, of course, the Soyuz boosters. I think that's the most thematically correct thing here. Of course, Proton never had boosters, but we can imagine for a moment. Now, just have to find the Soyuz. I think, did I make a separate save for that? It's possible. I see also there was a test Buran that I made. That thing is not obviously made to the level of detail that we usually do. That was just a test to see if the thing is doable, and it certainly is. Let me just see. Let me find this thing now. I'm sure I made another Soyuz. Was that now in a different save? I think it was actually a different save. I exported our Soyuz from here into another save. But anyway, there's the second generation. No, I should have said merge. Ah, good grief. That happens to me a lot. Anyway, the mere Pre-Roda is still here, the autosave chip, so I'll just load that again and then obviously merge the Soyuz second generation. Of course, it doesn't matter, the boosters are all the same. So we'll just put that off to the side, and then I just want to grab the attachment points there. Put that there, get rid of these, and then we can just use this whole thing with the landing clamps there. Why not? We'll just make symmetry here. Oh, but that's completely misaligned there. Of course, we're increasing the part count here, but I don't think that's a real problem for the booster itself. Let's just strut this thing. Auto strut to the heaviest. I think that's easiest. I have to say, I'm so used to this auto strut thing now. I was starting a new career the other day, and I still want to complete that at some point. But obviously at the beginning of a career you don't have access to the auto strut or even the normal struts, and I have to say it's an absolute nightmare not having played like that in a long time. Totally flailing all over the place. I have to say it's like 4 years ago, or how many ever years it was, when I started playing KSP. Actually, I think I started playing KSP at version 0.18. I think so. Be interesting to hear when you started. Anyway, so we have our clamps here, we have the boosters, all of its various components, but I also want us to fire the actual proton itself, so that gives us a 2.15 thrust to weight. That's perfectly fine. Separation should be fine as well. And then after that we do the normal. Now even this stage here, now this would be stage 5. This is a bit underpowered as well, but because of the boosters now we'll end up being higher than we would have otherwise. So it will work out just fine, I think. Now there was another thing I wanted to say. Now I've completely forgotten what it was. Good grief. I have no idea. Well, it slipped my mind now. Something about this I wanted to talk about. Anyway, it's obviously not that important. So, I think that's it. I don't want to make more changes here. However, oh good grief, I just can't help myself here. What can we add more? Or should we even add anything else? Life support again I'm not going to do for the reasons I said before. Cameras I'm not going to do because again Mir will get deleted if I ever don't have this mod, which is very likely. Anything else? Lights certainly not. We have lights on the core module. I think that will be perfectly fine. We're not going to have drill arms on here. We already have a scanning module on one of the other components or modules. The Science Junior thing, no, that's not going to be quite right here. And then of course all the others, again I'm not going to have parts from mods here. So anything else? No, I think it's fine. I like the fact that we got the telescope in there. At least it's another optical Earth or Kerbal observation piece of equipment there. So I think that's it. I'll save this now and let's go back to the what's the thing called now again? It shows you it was just yesterday, the Boomerang launch site. Now I think because of the boosters we'll have more than enough Delta V still to maneuver in orbit. However, that's the other thing. The monopropellant, that was a major problem as well, because to stabilize this thing I had to turn on the monopropellant during ascent, and obviously we saw what happened. We almost had nothing left, so I have to add that. It's a good thing I remembered now. Even just on this stage here, or we could throw, let's say 4 of them on here. Of course it's going to change the Delta V a little bit, but it shouldn't have too much of an impact, because essentially we have to burn the monopropellant continuously. So I think that's it now, comrades. I'm going to save again. Again, I'm not going to upload this to Steam yet, because I first need to see if it's actually doable, and then I'll do it. So let's go back to the launch pad, comrades. Right, so this is now obviously the most unconventional of all of our launches, but again, the unfortunate feature of that antenna there means that we have to do it like this. If I could somehow fold up the thing here, the survey scanner, I'm sure we could have made it because the fairings would have helped with our delta V and our ascent and all of that. Now, I have to say, this is so stunning, the snow here on the mountains. Good grief, I don't want to play stock graphics. I want to keep this, at least the new visual terrain, stock visual terrain mod. But like I said before, the stuff is not getting updated, so eventually we'll run into trouble there. But hopefully someone else will take over those mods. Anyway, that said, let's lock on to Mir, set as target, and just again fast forward until we are near, like that, and then of course I'll use this to guide me again. Set the SAS full throttle. I'll probably have to throttle back soon, but we'll see how it goes. So I'll do another countdown, comrades. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. No, comrades, another failure. Again we flip over. It's obviously because of the massive nose cone. It just catches the air and then of course it throws us over completely as soon as we separate the lower stage there. The boosters help a lot, but I almost wish we had more. That would be overkill though. I think we can do it like this. It's just we shouldn't flip over, so I'm going to have to add some Werner engines here just to give us the extra stability. I'm even gonna add 8 of them. At this point I don't even care what it looks like, I just need us to get to space. Deja vu, comrades, haven't we been here already? Well, I guess it's fitting that the last major launch for Mir would be the most troubling. Well, let's give it another go, comrades. Just get us right underneath, right there. Actually, I think this is even better than before. Well, let's hope for the best, comrades. I will hopefully see you in orbit. Right, comrades, I think we are in a much better position now. We're almost at orbital velocity and we still have 846 meters per second left. And as it turns out, we will get relatively close to Mir. Now, of course, we are ahead of it right now, so we have to go outside of its orbit for a while. But I think we can get an encounter there relatively soon. However, I have to get rid of this nose cone, so we'll decouple that thing. That will help. And then, of course, I have to deploy the scanner just to help with the weight. I think it does actually help, as we saw before. So we'll just imagine this is part of its deployment there. And it's also a fantastic thing that I had this extra monopropellant, because we would have been in real trouble without it, because it was burning the whole time as we were doing our ascent. So very important note there. I'm going to F5 this because I'm sure we can make it now. The thing is now, of course, we just have to get into an orbit. The other thing though, well, we have more fuel now, so if we have to, we can always use the fuel cell. Just thinking, how are we going to get electricity now? It's another good piece of providence there, the fact that we actually put on a fuel cell, which was a spur of the moment thing. Now, as it turns out, we're not actually going to meet it here, so I'm going to just put us in a slightly higher orbit, and then of course we'll make further adjustments from there. So hopefully we'll be able to meet up there on the day side again. Let's just point to the target and then wait 5 minutes. Oh yes, we have so much fuel here. So much fuel. I'm gonna keep the upper stage attached for as long as possible. Right, 3 seconds. 2, 1, and burn. Yes, it's pushing us slightly off, you can see, so monopropellant is a must. But those Werner engines made all the difference during the second stage burn. And a bit more, there we go, that'll do. So we are finally in orbit after how many tries? Let's just go to the what I call the orbital camera, because this is what we use for orbit. It's actually the free camera. Now, okay, we can turn the lights on. It's not really that important at the moment, but just to make the thing easier to see here as we're going into the dark side. Now, if I make the burn here, at least we're only 0.3 degrees out there, so it shouldn't be a need for making a correction there. Yes, there's the thing. Okay, so at that point we get 3.2 kilometers away, and can just tweak this. I know you can just scroll to do it in smaller steps as well. There we go. That's better. 2.1 kilometers. I think we shouldn't go too close anyway, just because there's always a risk of a collision, and now that we've put so much work into this thing, that is the last possible thing that I want. So let's fast forward 12 minutes again, and then we will see what we will see. There's the second stage, I think. At least there's no more swarms of satellites here that we have to watch out for. 2, 1, and burn. Just do it quite gently and stop. Half a meter off. Let's see what that gets us. That half a meter does make the difference. So there we are. Turn off the RCS system, and now we just wait, comrades. Let's do another F5. So, yes, it's definitely going to be a daytime encounter. But you see here, this is why I like the KETO mod, and I'm sure other visual mods will do this as well. But that kind of reddish tint there at sunset and sunrise, it's so fantastic. Kerbin doesn't look like Kerbin unless I have all of these clouds and things. Shows you we get spoiled after a while. Oh, some problems happened there. Anyway, we can see there's a great storm brewing here. Where is this? It's difficult to see where, on which continent. Oh, this is the one on the far side of the Kraken Sea. Yes, I also like to name various features here. I think we should one day do like a plane ride somewhere all over the planet and just name features. I think that'll be a nice thing. But this giant ocean here in which the crater is, I call that the Kraken Sea. And then of course the crater I call the Kraken Crater, because we can imagine there's some mythology that a huge kraken once in prehistory fell into Kerbin and caused the crater there. The fact that, spoiler alert, there is of course a kraken on Bop, so that's kind of evidence of that. So yes, let's get closer. Let's just see, where are we now? 2 minutes. And oh dear, I should have not brought us this close, but at least we don't have such a big differential. Get us to the retrograde, but don't burn the monopropellant now. Of course we have a big reaction wheel on the upper stage. Now at this point I think, I don't know, where's the retro of the target now? Okay, so that's the prograde of the target, so we'll have to burn in between like that. 0.9. At least we're burning off most of our speed here. 0.9. Okay, it's not making much of a difference. We have to get closer. It's 4 minutes now. Now, where is Mir? Above us, below us, behind us, ahead of us, to the side? Where is it? Looks like it's beneath us. Ah, there, I saw it. Alright, there it is. Now, isn't that majestic, comrades? Look at that. Maybe I'll do this for the thumbnail. F1. I see we're getting 16 frames, 18 frames per second now. It's not terrible. I know it's showing orange here now again, which is not the best thing, but oh well. Turn off the lights. Let's see, I can always do more tweaks with the anti-aliasing and all of that, just to help us a little if it is a problem. 70, 60, 50, 40. Oh dear, we're going back into the night side now. Ah well. We can always do station keeping just until the dawn again. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Alright, let's leave it at 200 meters and just see what that gets us. Then hopefully we can just stay there until we get back into the day side. So yes, that solar probe thing is also launching now. I saw Scott Manley's video about that. Very interesting. Maybe we should one day recreate something like that in KSP. I wonder how we would do that, because I can't do 7 Eve flybys. That's just crazy. Even with the Slingshotter mod, I don't even know how that thing works. 600. Just a bit closer. So how's the thing going? 7, 8, 9. You can always see if there's a slowdown because time is passing slower. I think there's only a very minor slowdown at the moment. Right, 1.4 meters per second. I think we can F5 that. At least this is now putting us in a good position. How's our power doing? Just fine, not a problem. Now the other issue is, of course, where do we need to dock? Whoa, 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 whoa. Don't get too close now. Of course, I can't see anything. Okay, 100 meters. I think let's do station keeping right here. Of course, we also have to watch out for the solar panels. Zero, zero, comrades. There we are. I think we will still drift because we're slightly higher than Mir there. Yes, you can see we're actually drifting away from it. I just want to get us back to the day. Now we're getting closer again. Okay, still 87 meters. It should be fine, and I did save it. Maybe a bit more. Yes, there's definitely a slowdown. 15 frames again. Ah, it's such a pity. Well, okay, first things first, let's just stop this motion again. Whoa, not that aggressively. Good grief. I think we should probably ditch the upper stage here. It's a little too powerful for our needs at the moment. Okay, now where's the retro of the target? It's right there. The thing is now, where's our docking port? I think it's actually on the other side at the moment. This will now be the most precarious docking maneuver that we've ever done, because everything else is already in place here, of course, except the truss segment there. Right, okay, this is nerve-wracking stuff here. Well, it's nothing we can't recover from if I quick save, so that's the key there. Alright, ditch this thing now. decouple node, and of course it will just drift away. Hopefully it's not going to impact anything. Now, what do I need to do here? Let me just think for a second. Okay, I think first of all, we need to go back to our favorite locked view here. And then, I think... Okay, let's just go to the side now. We have 81 units of monopropellant. I think that will be more than enough for our needs. And there's the port. Now I just have to remember which way we have to point again. I think it's towards the solar panels on that side. I can't even remember this module's name now. Alright, everything is looking good. We are approaching the correct alignment. So I'll just say set as target. And... actually, alright, stop. Oh, it's difficult. It's a bit unbalanced here, obviously, so that's now causing a slight problem here. Oh dear, oh this is not good, shut it down. This is going to eat up all of our monopropellant, so we have to be very careful here. I think we're actually not in a bad place though. If I can now just get find controls, and of course we still have some level of reaction wheel here. So let's just get this thing down, and then... why the roll though? That's what I want to know. Why are we doing this roll maneuvering the whole time? Anyway, I'll say control from here now, just so that we point towards the target. That was a strange view maneuver there. Right, point towards the target, please. I'm sure you can do that. Also, we can deploy the antennas, I think. Don't get space sick here. Good, at least that gives us a better idea of what we need to do next. I think we're actually in a pretty good place. Okay, why are you doing roll maneuvers the whole time? Okay, so the power plant module is to the top there from our perspective. So let me just roll here. And then I just want to see again which angle that would be. This is the sole reason I have this docking port mod here. Just so I can see the degrees of offset. So we want that to be as close to where it's supposed to be as possible. So in our case that would be 270. And that's something that's very difficult to eyeball, because any time you make the slightest change here, you can see it's having a huge impact. Just stop the moving, please. Right, I'm not sure how close we'll get on that, but that's pretty good. Within 1 degree I'll be happy. Of course you can still see that you're offset if you have 1 degree. Now, this is clearly showing us we're not high enough. Oh, please don't throw me off now. Okay, just give me that, and then very slightly. We're following the yellow there as far as I understand this whole thing. So the orange is the way that we're pointing now, and we want that to be right in the dead center there. Okay, we can just take our time, just take it easy, don't overdo things. That's what my math tutor used to tell me. Right, bit more up. Ah, suspense, good grief. Alright, bring it back down. Okay, Give us back control, please. Lock again. That's better at least. I don't even know what this green thing is. I guess that's the direction we're pointing. So now it's getting all misaligned again. Well, it's not bad though. I think we have managed to dock with even worse alignment there. Just want to get this roll right. Which way do I have to roll? Okay, it's this way. It's the Q key right now. Of course, any move you make takes a while to translate into the actual move here. Distance is 19. I didn't even notice this before. Alright, F5 again. Let us turn off the SAS, turn on the RCS and do some minor prograde burn. I don't want to use both at the same time because the SAS will just abuse the RCS here again. Alright, we are moving in now. The alignment here is looking pretty good. Now, of course, it can be better there, but I think it's going to work out. At least I hope so. Still going to struggle with this roll angle right until the end, I'm sure of it. Just small steps. Little more. Alright, just keep it there. 270.0. Okay, everything is looking great now. F5 again. At least we'll have a good place to continue or reload from if we have to. Now, if I just eyeball this, I think we're pretty well aligned. It's always just the roll thing that's the problem for me. Yes, I think if I tweak it now, it might just throw our perfect roll alignment off again, which I'll try to avoid. So let's just go in and see what this... Oh no, I can't help myself. Okay, that didn't change anything, just made it a bit more aligned here on the nav ball. Just holding my breath. Yes, I think after this we're gonna not work on a space station for a while. Just let's build other things first. Thing is just obviously we have to finish Mir, that's the other thing. I still have to figure out how to get those truss segments into position. Right, comrades, this is it. We are looking pretty good. I just hope the magnetic lock isn't going to throw our angle off there. It might slightly, but so be it. I think it's pretty good, even though this shows it's not perfect. Okay, all SAS off. 3, 2, 1. Bang. Perfect. We didn't change the angle there. Absolutely perfect, comrades. And the main components of Mir are in place. Yes! What a journey that's been. Good grief. Right, so there it is. Of course, as we saw in that diagram, it does point towards the solar panels there, but I guess they can tilt the antenna dish thing there slightly. And of course, they can always retract the solar panels as well. Now, I don't think this is going to help us because I believe the service scanner wants a polar orbit. Yes, polar orbit. That's fine. That's not a problem. Can I see the overlay? Obviously, it's not going to help. We can send a separate mission for that. This is, after all, only for the appearance of it, really. Let's just turn off the engines here. So... Now hold on, what does it say? Activate engine, because I never turned them on. Good grief. Well, there you go. Let's just turn the gimbal off. I did that for all the other engines as well, because any change that we make will have these nozzles swinging all over the place, and that doesn't look too good. Now, what's the other thing? Autostrad to grandparent, right? So let's do that. Okay, it's anyway autostrad lock to grandparent part, so I guess that's right. We can just do it here as well. There. Just to make sure everything sticks together, let's just change the camera again to free, which is the nice one for orbit. And now, what do we need to do to get this thing to look right? It's this one here, so we have to control from the docking port there, that's for the shuttle. That's anyway where we're controlling from, and then I just want to say radial in, because that's the way that we're supposed to be orientated here. And the other thing, I think it's supposed to go this way, so where the progress is at the moment is supposed to be the front of our prograde basically. So I can just roll this as well. 16 frames a second, that's not too terrible, it's not great either, but given what we're dealing with here, it's understandable. Okay, now which way are we moving? It's that way it seems. Just a little more, why not? And we get these shadow effects now. I don't know if this is from a mod or if this is now part of the stock game, but you can clearly see it there. It's these shadow effects all over the place. Right, so I think that will do, comrades. So there is the main Mir station. Now obviously the bottom part here is longer because of the docking port there, or docking adapter. But I think in general everything looks quite great. So the next step, oh yes, how are we going to do that? We have to somehow get the thing to dock here, right there. That's going to be a bit of a challenge, especially with the antenna there, but I think we can just put maybe one of those structural panels right there with a docking port. Then, of course, the entire truss thing. Now, how we're going to attach some kind of RCS system to that is going to be a real challenge, because we still have to get it into position. And I see we have this slight glitching going on here. It's a bit strange. I obviously always make sure to avoid that, but this must be some weird graphics thing. Unfortunate. Oh well. Nothing we can do about that now, comrades. Let's just F5 again. I'm happy with this. Everything turned out well, and I just love how our telescope thing is pointing directly into the solar panel there. But of course, if we ever want to use it, we can just retract the solar panel, so it's not a fatal error there. And of course, our airlock here for spacewalks. Do we ever have a materials bay somewhere? I don't think we actually do have one of those anywhere. But it does look a bit strange to sort of slap that on. That's the one thing I think that we don't have. Well, that's alright. If we ever need it, we can always send it up inside a Progress or something like that. But of course, this isn't career, so we don't really need that. Now let's just go back to the, well, I can just end the video here. Then I'll go back to the VAB and I'll upload this module for you as well. Of course, it's now a strange order, but I'll upload all the other modules as well just now. And then I'll see you again very soon, comrades. Hopefully not too long. It's probably not going to be... Maybe it's even tomorrow, I'm not sure. But it's not going to be the rest of the week. Not sure. Anyway, I wish I could do this more regularly, comrades, so thank you again for your continued patience, and I'll see you next time. Signing out from Mir.